Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So my name is Muhammad Gifari. Right now, I would like to do my midterm test in introduction to interpreting class. I want to interpret The Secret of Learning a New Language by Lydia Machova. So yeah, let's get started.
I love learning foreign languages. In fact, I love it so much that I like to learn a new language every 2 years, currently working on my 8th one. When people find out about me, they always ask me, how do you do that? What's your secret? And to be honest, for many years, my answer would be, I don't know, I simply love learning languages. But people were never happy with that answer. They wanted to know why they are spending years trying to learn even one language, never achieving fluency, and here I come, learning one language after another. They wanted to know the secret of polyglots, people who speak a lot of languages.
Ya, saya sangat senang belajar bahasa asing. Bahkan dalam 16 tahun ini saya sudah mempelajari bahasa ke-8 saya. Dan hal ini membuat orang-orang bertanya kepada saya karena apa rahasianya bisa belajar bahasa asing. Dan saya hanya menjawab karena saya suka belajar bahasa. Tetapi orang-orang kurang puas akan jawaban itu karena waktu yang orang lain butuhkan untuk belajar bahasa itu lebih banyak ketimbang waktu yang saya butuhkan. Dan yang sebenarnya mereka butuhkan adalah apa rahasianya dari polyglot yang merupakan orang yang pasti dalam berbahasa itu belajar banyak bahasa. Next.
And that made me wonder too, how do actually other polyglots do it? What do we have in common? And what is it that enables us to learn languages so much faster than other people? I decided to meet other people like me and find it out. The best place to meet a lot of polyglots is an event where hundreds of language lovers meet in one place to practice their languages. There's several of such polyglot events organized all around the world, and so I decided to go there and ask polyglots about the methods that they use.
Ya, karena hal itu saya juga penasaran mengenai bagaimana polyglot bisa belajar bahasa secara cepat. Jadi saya memutuskan untuk bertemu dengan polyglot di sebuah acara event dalam acara polyglot, dan saya berbagi ilmu dan metode apa yang polyglot gunakan dalam belajar bahasa.
And so I met Benny from Ireland, who told me that his method is to start speaking from day one. He learns a few phrases from a travel phrase book and goes to meet native speakers and starts having conversations with them right away. He doesn't mind making even 200 mistakes a day because that's how he learns, based on the feedback. And the best thing is, he doesn't even need to travel a lot today because you can easily have conversations with native speakers from the comfort of your living room using websites.
Ya, saya bertemu dengan Benny dari Irlandia. Metode yang digunakan Benny dalam belajar bahasa adalah dengan membaca materi yang bahasa yang ingin dia pelajari, kemudian langsung mempraktekannya dengan orang asli dari pemilik bahasa tersebut. Dan poin penting dalam Benny belajar adalah untuk tidak takut dalam membuat kesalahan. Dan juga bahkan Benny kita bisa belajar internet dan berbicara dengan dengan orang asli dari bahasa tersebut dengan menggunakan internet. Next.
I also met Lucas from Brazil, who had a really interesting method to learn Russian. He simply added 100 random Russian speakers on Skype as friends. And then, seriously, he opened a chat window with one of them and wrote hi in Russian. And the person replied, "Hi, how are you?" Lucas copied this and put it into a text window with another person. And the person replied, "I'm fine, thank you, and how are you?" Lucas copied this back to the first person, and in this way, he had two strangers have a conversation with each other without knowing about it. And soon he would start typing himself because he had so many of these conversations that he figured out how the Russian conversation usually starts. What an ingenious method, right?
Ya, kemudian saya bertemu dengan Lucas yang berasal dari Brazil, yang mempunyai cara unik dalam belajar bahasa Rusia miliknya. Metode yang Lucas gunakan adalah dengan menambahkan banyak teman, ratusan teman dari teman asing dari Rusia pada Skype. Dan kemudian dia mulai menulis hai dengan bahasa Rusia. Kemudian ketika lawannya menjawab hai apa kabar, Lucas me meniru pesan tersebut dan mengirimkannya kepada orang lain. Dan kemudian menjawabnya baik-baik saja. Ketika orang lain menjawab baik-baik saja, Lucas kembali mengcopy, meniru teks kata-kata tersebut, kemudian mengirimkannya dengan kepada orang lain dan begitu seterusnya.
And then I met polyglots who always start by imitating sounds of the language, and others who always learn the 500 most frequent words of the language, and yet others who always start by reading about the grammar. If I asked 100 different polyglots, I heard 100 different approaches to learning languages. Everybody seems to have a unique way how they learn a language, and yet we all come to the same result of speaking several languages fluently.
Dan saya juga bertemu dengan beberapa polyglot lain yang menggunakan banyak metode. Metode contohnya adalah mereka menggunakan meniru suara dan aksen dari bahasa asli yang mereka pelajari. Kemudian mereka juga ada juga yang menggunakan kosakata, menghafal kosakata yang sering digunakan dalam kehidupan sehari-hari. Dan juga ada juga yang menggunakan teknik belajar dengan metode-metode dengan grammarnya. Dan setiap polyglot memiliki metode dan cara yang berbeda-beda, tapi tujuannya tetap sama, yaitu berbicara banyak bahasa dengan fasih dan belajar banyak bahasa dengan metode mereka masing-masing.
And as I was listening to these polyglots telling me about their methods, it suddenly dawned on me. The one thing we all have in common is that we simply found ways how to enjoy the language learning process. All of these polyglots were talking about language learning as if it was great fun. You should have seen their faces when they were showing me their colorful grammar charts and their carefully handmade flashcards and their statistics about learning vocabulary using apps, or even how they love to cook based on recipes in a foreign language. All of them use different methods, but they always make sure it's something that they personally enjoy.
Poin terpenting yang dalam metode yang dilakukan polyglot adalah menikmati bagaimana proses mereka belajar dalam belajar bahasa. Semakin mereka menikmati metodenya, maka akan semakin cepat juga mereka menangkap bahasa yang mereka pelajari.
I realized that this is actually how I learn languages myself. When I was learning Spanish, I was bored with the text in the textbook. I mean, who wants to read about Jose asking about the directions to the train station, right? I wanted to read Harry Potter instead, because that was my favorite book as a child and I had read it many times. So I got the Spanish translation of Harry Potter and started reading, and sure enough, I didn't understand almost anything at the beginning. But I kept on reading because I loved the book, and by the end of the book, I was able to follow it almost without any problems. And the same
Dan saya juga mengalami saya juga memiliki metode yang sama, yaitu ketika saya bosan belajar bahasa Spanyol dengan menggunakan buku grammar, dan karena saya menyukai Harry Potter, saya membaca buku Harry Potter dalam bahasa Spanyol. Dan meskipun pada awalnya saya tidak begitu mengerti apa yang teks itu berikan, tetapi semakin saya membacanya, semakin cepat pula saya paham jika saya menikmati dari metode yang saya gunakan ini.
And the same thing happened when I was learning German. I decided to watch Friends, my favorite sitcom, in German. And again, at the beginning, it was all just gibberish. I didn't know where one word finished and another one started. But I kept on watching every day because it's Friends. I can watch it in any language. I love it so much. And after the second or third season, seriously, the dialogue started to make sense. I only realized this after meeting other polyglots. We are no geniuses, and we have no shortcut to learning languages. We simply found ways how to enjoy the process. how to turn language learning from a boring school subject into a pleasant activity which you don't mind doing every day. If you don't
Dan juga ketika saya belajar bahasa Jerman, ketika saya menonton film komedi Friends dalam bahasa Jerman, yang pada awalnya saya tidak begitu mengerti apa yang dikatakan dari film itu. Tapi setelah saya menontonnya terus-menerus dan melanjutkan kepada season berikutnya, saya mulai mengerti apa yang sebenarnya film itu maksud. Jadi poin pentingnya adalah dalam belajar bahasa itu bagaimana kita menikmati prosesnya yang kita awalnya mengubah sesuatu hal yang membosankan menjadi hal yang menyenangkan.
If you don't like writing words down on paper, you can always type them in an app. If you don't like listening to boring textbook material, find interesting content on YouTube or in podcasts for any language. If you're a more introverted person and you can't imagine speaking to native speakers right away, you can apply the method of self-talk. You can talk to yourself in the comfort of your room, describing your plans for the weekend, how your day has been, or even take a random picture from your phone and describe the picture to your imaginary friend. This is how polyglots learn languages. And the best news is, it's available to anyone who's willing to take the learning into their own hands.
Ada banyak metode yang bisa kita lakukan dalam belajar bahasa. Dan misalnya kita tidak suka dengan suatu metode yang kita gunakan, kita bisa menggunakan metode lain. Yang terpenting adalah bagaimana kita bisa menikmati dalam belajar bahasa tersebut. Dan itulah hal yang dilakukan oleh polyglot.
So meeting other polyglots helped me realize that it is really crucial to find enjoyment in the process of learning languages. But also, that joy in itself is not enough. If you want to achieve fluency in a foreign language, you'll also need to apply 3 more principles. First of all, you'll need effective methods. If you try to memorize a list of words for a test tomorrow, the words will be stored in your short-term memory, and you'll forget them after a few days.
Ada banyak cara yang menyenangkan yang menurut saya itu belum tentu cukup dalam belajar bahasa. Jika kita ingin pasti dalam berbahasa, ada beberapa prinsip yang harus kita tanamkan. Yang pertama adalah menggunakan metode yang menurut kita efektif untuk belajar.
If you, however, want to keep words long-term, you need to revise them in the course of a few days repeatedly using the so-called spaced repetition. You can use apps which are based on this system, such as Anki or Memrise, or you can write lists of words in a notebook using the gold list method, which is also very popular with many polyglots. If you're not sure which methods are effective and what is available out there, just check out polyglots' YouTube channels and websites and get inspiration from them. If it works for them, it will most probably work for you too.
Ada banyak cara agar kita bisa belajar bahasa dan mengingat bahasa secara efektif, seperti mencatat dan mengingat kata-kata yang kita gunakan. Dan jika ingin masih belum berhasil, kita bisa menonton video YouTube dan website dari polyglot sendiri.
The third principle to follow is to create a system in your learning. We're all very busy and no one really has time to learn a language today. But we can create that time if we just plan a bit ahead. Can you wake up 15 minutes earlier than you normally do? Well, that would be the perfect time to revise some vocabulary. Can you...
Prinsip selanjutnya adalah dengan membuat sistem pembelajaran. Dan tentunya adalah rasa konsisten. Misalnya seperti apakah kita bisa menyisihkan waktu untuk bangun lebih cepat 15 menit untuk belajar bahasa dan mengulangnya kembali itu terus-menerus.
Can you listen to a podcast on your way to work while driving? Well, that would be great to get some listening experience. There are so many things we can do without even planning that extra time, such as listening to podcasts on our way to work or doing our household chores. The important thing is to create a plan in the learning. I will practice speaking every Tuesday and Thursday with a friend for 20 minutes. I will listen to a YouTube video while having breakfast. If you create a system in your learning, you don't need to find that extra time because it will become a part of your everyday life.
Ya, yang selanjutnya adalah yang terpenting dalam buat ini adalah sistemnya itu sendiri, yaitu dengan tetap konsisten dalam melakukannya dan juga dengan konsisten kita tidak perlu lagi mengingat membuat waktu dan kapan kita harus mulai mengulang-ulang untuk belajar. Dan yang terpenting menyisihkan waktu untuk mengisi waktu kosong untuk belajar bahasa itu sendiri.
And finally, if you want to learn a language fluently, you need also a bit of patience. It's not possible to learn a language within 2 months, but it's definitely possible to make a visible improvement in 2 months if you learn in small chunks every day in a way which you enjoy. And there is nothing that motivates us more than our own success.
Dan yang terakhir adalah menanamkan rasa sabar kepada diri kita sendiri, karena hal yang konsisten itu, karena hal yang terus berulang-ulang itu pasti menimbulkan rasa bosan, dan dengan sabar itu dapat memotivasi diri kita sendiri dalam belajar bahasa lebih mudah dan lebih cepat dipahami.
I vividly remember the moment when I understood the first joke in German when watching Friends. I was so happy and motivated that I just kept on watching that day 2 more episodes. And as I kept watching, I had more and more of those moments of understanding, these little victories. And step by step, I got to a level where I could use the language freely and fluently to express anything. And this is a wonderful feeling. I can't get enough of that feeling, and that's why I learn a language every 2 years. So
Ya, saya sangat mengingat ketika saya menonton sitkom Friends dalam bahasa Jerman yang ketika saya berhasil menemukan makna dari lawakan yang diberikan pada sitkom komedi ini. Yang awalnya saya tidak mengerti, tapi akhirnya saya mengerti, dan itu saya menjadikan sebuah pencapaian yang harus saya capai, yang menurut saya itu menjadikan hadiah atas kerja keras yang telah saya lakukan, dan itu hal yang menjadi motivasi saya.
So this is the whole polyglot secret. Find effective methods which you can use systematically over the period of some time in a way which you enjoy. And this is how polyglots learn languages within months, not years.
Dan rahasia dari polyglot itu sendiri adalah dengan menggunakan metode-metode yang mereka berikan, dan itulah yang membuat polyglot lebih cepat belajar bahasa daripada orang lain.
Now, some of you may be thinking, that's all very nice to enjoy language learning, but isn't the real secret that you polyglots are just super talented and most of us aren't? Well, there's one thing I haven't told you about Benny and Lucas. Benny had 11 years of Irish Gaelic and 5 years of German at school. Couldn't speak them at all when graduating. Up to the age of 21, he thought he didn't have the language gene and he could not speak another language. Then he started to look for his way of learning languages, which was speaking to native speakers and getting feedback from them. And today, Benny can easily have a conversation in 10 languages.
Ya, mungkin kalian berpikir bahwa polyglot merupakan bakat alami yang dimiliki seseorang. Ya, ada cerita yang menarik antara Benny dan cerita menarik di Benny dan Lucas. Ya, Benny belajar bahasa dialek Irlandia dan bahasa Jerman itu selama 16 tahun. Bahkan ketika dia lulus, dia masih sulit untuk belajar bahasa tersebut. Dan pada umur 21, dia berpikir bahwa dia tidak bisa berbicara bahasa lain. Tetapi setelah menemukan metode yang cocok menurutnya, Benny sekarang bahkan bisa berbahasa, memiliki 10 bahasa berbeda dan fasih dalam menggunakannya.
Lucas tried to learn English at school for 10 years. He was one of the worst students in class. His friends even made fun of him and gave him a Russian textbook as a joke because they thought he would never learn that language or any language. And then Lucas started to experiment with methods, looking for his own way to learn. For example, by having Skype chat conversations with strangers. And after just 10 years, Lucas is able to speak 11 languages fluently.
Ya, dan begitu pula Lucas yang belajar bahasa Inggris selama 10 tahun. Bahkan teman-temannya sendiri menertawakannya karena butuh waktu 10 tahun. Bahkan teman-temannya memberikannya buku bahasa Rusia karena dia pasti tidak akan mengerti apa maksud dari teks dari buku tersebut. Tapi Lukas termotivasi dan menemukan metode apa yang cocok untuknya. Dan sekarang Lukas bahkan bisa berbicara 11 bahasa berbeda dengan fasih.
Does that sound like a miracle? Well, I see such miracles every single day. As a language mentor, I help people learn languages by themselves. And I see this every day. People struggled with language learning for 5, 10, even 20 years. And then they suddenly take their learning into their own hands, start using materials which they enjoy, more effective methods, or they start tracking their learning so that they can appreciate their own progress. And that's when suddenly they magically find the language talent that they were missing all their lives.
Ya, apakah kalian berpikir kalau ini tuh mukjizat yang diberikan Tuhan? Ya, sebagai penasihat bahasa saya melihat mukjizat setiap hari di mana orang-orang belajar bahasa itu 5 tahun, 10 tahun, bahkan sampai 20 tahun. Tetapi setelah menemukan metode yang menurut mereka efektif dalam belajar bahasa, itu membuat mereka jadi lebih cepat dalam belajar bahasa.
So if you've also tried to learn a language and you gave up thinking it's too difficult or you don't have the language talent, give it another try. Maybe you're also just one enjoyable method away from learning that language fluently. Maybe you're just one method away from becoming a polyglot. Thank you.
Ya, jika Anda berpikir belajar bahasa itu sulit, maka cobalah metode-metode yang diberikan tadi. Yang gunakanlah metode-metode yang menurut Anda menyenangkan dan dapat Anda nikmati dalam belajarnya. Dan pasti kalian akan menemukan langkah-langkah apa yang polyglot lakukan dalam belajar bahasa. Terima kasih. That's all about my presentation. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.